And then eventually people said, listen, stop. You're not gonna do this to me anymore. We're not gonna take a stand.
When I destroyed the BBC, my brother was celebrating. I knew. I was like, Tristan, no. You don't beat the British Broadcasting Corporation and make fools of them like this without some new bullshit.
This is where their argument has...
Oh, yeah. There's going to be cursing in this interview because he loves to curse. So just to be aware about that. Just be aware about that.
Leaks in it.
I'm genuinely looking for guidance here. Am I supposed to roll over and fucking lose?
You sincerely don't know what the right thing is.
I sincerely have decided that the best thing I can do is stay true to my faith and stay true to God and tell the truth and fight.
So that's his Bugatti. I hear he always talks about his Bugatti. I don't know much about Andrew Tate, but I know he likes to drive Bugattis.
So a lot has changed since the last time we sat down with Andrew Tate. Last time we sat down with him, you were the most Googled man on earth. Today, effective last 2 days, you are now the most Googled woman on earth.
Correct.
According to your
What?
Twitter profile.
Correct.
And
Did he just say the most Googled woman on earth?
we wanted to make sure after
Wait.
the BBC interview, you made certain requests.
Yeah.
You said you want to move in. We wanted to make sure.
Correct.
Today, effective last 2 days, you are now the most Googled woman on earth.
Correct.
According
How does that make sense? He's the most Googled woman on earth? Did I hear that right? Are now the most Googled woman. So why are people considering him a woman? I don't understand.
to your Twitter profile.
Correct.
And
Again, I don't know too much about Andrew Tate. Let me know in the comments like what's going on, because I don't know much about the dude. I just don't. I don't get the whole fanfare about this guy.
to make sure after the BBC interview you made certain requests.
Yeah.
You said you want moving forward there to be a $50,000 fee when people sit down to do an interview. So we wanted to make sure the ESG score for this interview would be very high. We got you a $50,000 Target gift card.
I appreciate that very much.
A $50,000 target?
People in America will appreciate
I need
that.
a whole new wardrobe.
And then
Yes.
you also said cookies, so Adam got you
Oh, he
some
must be
Tates
joking.
cookies
Amazing.
to make sure we
Yes.
match that. And then we
One
did,
for your brother as well, I
we
believe.
did bring a Bud Light,
Yes.
but unfortunately Vinny finished it on the way here. Vinny, you know, we
I'm already a girl. I don't need Bud Light.
yeah, so we respect that.
All I know, I don't know much about Andrew Tate, but all I know is he reminds me of a cult leader. He reminds me that I came out of cults. His charisma, his personality, it's kind of like the cult of personality. I do know a lot of people follow him because his personality is so charismatic. And he has all these things, and this, I guess, it seems like he has this life that a lot of people aspire to. So that's what it reminds me of when I seen what I know about Andrew Tate. I don't know too much about him, but he reminds me of a cult leader.
So, but anyways, look, a lot's obviously changed from last time to this time. Last time we sat down was around 9 months ago.
Yeah.
You had, at the time, been deplatformed from every social media platform. We came out here, we sat down, we spoke. The Matrix was attacking you. You were saying
The Matrix.
Matrix attacking me, Matrix attacking me.
Yep.
From then on, Musk buys Twitter in October.
Yep.
He then reinstates you.
Correct.
In one day, I believe you get 1 million followers on Twitter. You're upwards of 7 million today.
Yep.
Every other account's taken down. I think even Tristan was taken down off of Instagram.
Yep.
And then, you know, the arrest comes, the lover boy, all these articles.
Yep.
And Vice releases the hit piece on you guys. You know, they're saying what they're saying, and I'm sure we're going to get some comments on that.
Yep.
The initial 30-day lockup was extended twice, 92 days in the dungeon.
Yep.
We had a chance to speak with one of your lawyers, Tina Glandian, on February 24th. It was a great conversation we had with her. Then eventually you're released. You and your brother come out, and you specifically make it clear that you did 7,417 push-ups.
Correct.
Very impressive.
Why did he even have to make that known? I guess how much push-ups I did while in jail. 7,717. If I can even read.
You received letters from thousands of fans. You read the Quran on a daily basis.
Oh, that's a red flag.
At no point was any charges, anything official charge. It was all allegedly.
Yeah.
And while you were away, a new star was born, Dylan Mulvaney, which I'm sure you're familiar with. From there on, a lot of comments were made. Comments of people that supported you, comments of people that didn't support you.
Yeah.
Logan Paul said by 2023, he will not have a sliver of relevance, is what he said. KSI said Andrew Tate snitched on himself. after getting
I still don't really get the relevance that he does have. I don't get why. Y'all let me know in the comments, like, why is this dude famous? Like, why are so many men in love with him? It seems like he's attracting a lot of young men, look up to him.
Racial by Greta Thunberg. Yeah. Destiny said Andrew Tate has been arrested for rape charges in a country he specifically lives in to avoid rape charges because he was beefing with a autistic child on the internet. I think he's referencing the great Greta. Yep. Matt Bernstein advocated to get you kicked off of Instagram. Sure. And he's part of the Blue Pill community, a big famous makeup artist. Yep. Ethan Klein said, and that's why I call him Andrew, the human trafficker. He sent me a cease and desist threatening to sue me for defamation for saying he's a human trafficker. Yeah. What else am I supposed to call someone that buys and sells human beings after their will? Tate, the human trafficker. NBC in January 2023.
I did hear that he was making a lot of money off of women because he would like have women in his house and basically have women do cam videos and run like a business, basically objectifying women. So I did hear about that. But from what I do know, well, I don't know if these women did it willingly or not. I don't know.
Said Andrew Tate said he broke a woman's jaw and that his business was a scam ahead of Romanian charges. Yeah. Rolling Stone said, meet Andrew Tate, ex-kickboxer, red-pilling the angry young men of America. These are people that didn't support you. Now, these are the people that supported you. Tucker Carlson, he comes out and he says on Full Send podcast, first of all, he's really smart. Yeah. The spirit that animates Andrew Tate is very clear and very obvious, and it's
what spirit is that? What spirit is animating Andrew Tate? I don't think it's the Holy Spirit if he's reading the Quran like that.
Not a malicious spirit at all. Andrew Tate's core message is respect for yourself, act like you're worth something, achieve something, do something, get the fuck off the couch, put down the...
Again, there's language in this, so just be aware of that.
Porn, go do something with your life. That's the greatest message that anyone could give. It tells you everything about the people in charge who say that's threatening. What is that threatening? The same people who live on the pedo island with Epstein and the same people that were friends with Harvey Weinstein were claiming to protect women by rebuking Tate. Yep. That's Tucker Carlson. Yep. Piers Morgan, who originally, when he went on, it was very combative. Correct. It was a very good interview, entertaining, but it was also interesting to see him trying to push you. And then he flips and he says, this is getting ridiculous. Romanian authorities must either charge him and his brother if they have actual evidence of crimes or release them. Musk obviously supported by restoring your account like this. Jake Shields said people are freaking out about young boys looking up to Andrew Tate, but totally fine with young girls looking up to Cardi B and the Kardashians.
I'm not okay with either of those. Either of those are bad.
And obviously, Aiden Ross, Red Pill community, Joe Rogan. I can go on and on and on about a lot of things.
Let me know what the Red Pill community is. I'm not entirely sure. I have an idea, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm naive to a lot of this Andrew Tate stuff, Red Pill stuff. And somebody suggested that I should make videos about the Red Pill community, but I have to know more about it first.
That's being said. We watched the BBC interview, and we'll talk about BBC here in a minute because I have some questions on that as well. But the first thing I want to ask you is, 9 months, where we were at then, September, to where we are today, a lot's changed. How do you feel with everything that's going on? And tell us a little bit about your current state today.
Yeah, there's a very strange sense of terror that comes from knowing exactly what's going to happen to you. There's a strange sense of calm that comes from it also, but in the middle of the night when you can't sleep, sometimes you feel happy knowing what they're trying to do to you, and sometimes you feel terrified knowing what they're trying to do to you. I think I'm very happy. Every single podcast I did previous to this, I hammered the point home, and I made it very clear that they had the intention of trying to put me in jail. I said, there's 3 lives. They try and cancel you and slander you and destroy your name. They don't just want you to disappear from the internet. They want you to disappear from the internet in a cloud of shame. They have to shame you, which is why they chose the crimes they did for me, and it's why they usually choose the crimes they choose, because it's heinous. They want to shame you, and they want you to disappear with your head facing the ground and never pop up again. Obviously, they attempted to cancel me. I became more famous than ever before. I even said to you on your podcast, and I said on other podcasts, I said, I think they made a mistake. I think when you have power and you overuse it, what happens is a rebellion. That's how a revolution starts. When you have power, you have to be very, very careful with how you use that power. The second you overuse it, there's a revolution, and we're in Romania, so they know all about that. That's exactly what happens. And I said at the time, I think I was a mistake.
Who's this guy? Who's that guy that's just like nodding? Is that Andrew Tate's friend or something? I don't know who that guy is, but this is interesting. Let's go back. his.
Use that power. The second you overuse it, there's a revolution, and we're in Romania, so they know all about that. That's exactly
He's like,
what happens. And I said at the time, I think I was a mistake. I think they made a big mistake canceling me the way they did. And then the second time, the second life, which I described as they try and put you in jail for no reason. Here we are in the current scenario. I knew it was going to happen. And the third one is they put a bullet in your head. So we're going to have to see how the second life plays out. And yeah, I mean, when this is all over and I win the court.
like, this guy just seems like a character to me. It doesn't even seem like a real person. Seems like a character. Hard to explain.
Okay, so I get the not guilty. I won't be smiling. I'll be walking out the courtroom with my head on a swivel. That's the kind of life I'm living now. I'm going to be thinking, oh, okay, so their second attempt failed. Now what? Like, do I want to fly private anymore?
It's like a mob meeting or something like that.
Do I want to go that place anymore? You start to think about these things. Like, do I want to do these things? A lot of billionaires dying in plane crashes. It's strange. So it's scary, regardless of how it plays out. And I guess you just have to go with the punches and see where it lands. And God has a plan for me and for all of us, and we're just going to see how it ends up.
Which God?
Full disclosure, you don't have any suicidal thoughts.
Which God does Andrew Tate believe in? I'm curious. Well, actually, he basically explained it. He said he read the Quran. And from what I hear, he's a Muslim. So
I want to make it very clear, and I make it clear on absolutely every single podcast, I would never kill myself. I don't care what they say. I don't care what video they show you. Never under any circumstance would I kill myself. It's haram. Never. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, definitely Muslim is haram, which I know is a Muslim term. Not sure what it means. I think it means like basically a sin.
They put me back in the dungeon, solitary confinement by myself for the rest of my human years. I would never kill myself, ever, ever. So
which actually some people of that religion do that for Allah. They do that. You know, in the wars, they done that for they claim it's for their God. They do these, type of bombings and end up giving their life away for what they claim to be their God. That's their sacrifice. End up hurting other people because of it.
If that ever happens, God forbid, do not believe whatever garbage they tell you. The chance of me killing myself is precisely zero.
And you had this complete level of certainty that this is exactly how it would play out. You've said this on umpteen podcasts that this is their agenda.
They have to damage my influence. They have to damage my influence. They can't sit there and let me be influential because I'm saying things that they don't like me saying. And there are people sitting around going, he's saying things counter to our message and counter to our narrative. Get rid of him. And they have a...
Yeah, but he's also not saying everything good either. He may be saying some things that the system doesn't like, but all of what he's saying is not good because it's not in alignment with biblical principles.
Pretty standardized playbook. And this is probably one of the first times in history where their playbook just isn't working. Cancel him. Well, he's still around. Oh, well, lie about him in the news. Just say he touches chicks. Well, no one believes it. Oh, all the comments are on his side. Everyone's calling...
Definitely promotes sexual immorality. He promotes, from what I understand, again, maybe correct me if I'm wrong about some things, but promotes sexual immorality. He seems very prideful, very arrogant.
Us liars. Okay, then do it again. Then do it again. Make up a new girl. Then do it again. Find someone else.
Yeah.
And they keep attacking me with the same weapons, but the bullets are bouncing off. And that doesn't give me a sense of calm. That doesn't make me think, ha ha ha, I'm invincible. It makes me think, uh-oh. It makes me think, uh-oh, because human life is cheap at the top. It's very cheap.
Does it make you want to sit on the sidelines and be quiet and just kind of live a life with your family, your kids? Does it make you want to do that? Maybe all these attention is actually not a good thing.
It's interesting because sometimes I analyze myself and think, why don't I just do that? Why don't I just disappear? I don't need money. I don't need fame. Why don't I just disappear?
He doesn't need money, although he gloats about it all the time, about his Bugatti.
And then
you can't buy Bugattis without money.
I was saying this to my brother.
Or maybe he's saying like, I don't need any more money because he's already so rich. Maybe he's saying that.
Well, Genghis Khan didn't need Vienna. Some people are just wired that way. Like, Vienna's a long way from Kathmandu. Sometimes that's just the way it is, or Ulaanbaatar, I apologize, the capital of Mongolia. That's just the way some people are. If I see injustice...
He just apologized to the capital of Mongolia. This dude's a trip.
And if I see things which I believe to be false, I feel like I am obligated to say the truth. I can't explain why, even if at my own detriment. What am I doing this for? Like, it's to the detriment of my life. And I've had these conversations at length with the people close to me, and we're all saying the same thing. It's always been the same way. Humanity's always been the same way. There's been a select, small, few good men up against evil, and evil always outnumbers you. Evil always has more money than you. They always have more power and more influence than you. If you play any video game, when you get to the end boss, he always has more life than you. He always has more hit points, but you're the good guy. And it's kind of like, it's never been.
So you see what he's doing? He's painting himself as the good guy. There's good versus evil, and he's saying, I'm the good guy. The people who are attacking me are the evil ones. Interesting. Dualism, which is not inherently bad, as the Bible is very black and white, but if you're going to be dualistic, you need to be on the right side of the truth and be living and subscribing to the actual principles of the Bible, right?
Any different at any point in human history, there's been the good guys up against the forces of evil, whatever they were of the time, and you've always been outnumbered and you've always been supposed to lose.
So you consider yourself the good guy in this situation?
I think that
He got it too. Yeah, what do you say? I think that, let's see what he says to this.
truth is instilled by God in all of us, and I think if you tell the truth,
That's somewhat true. That's somewhat true, as we've all been given a knowledge of morality. We all have a conscience. We all have a God-given conscience.
you're a good person.
So
Hold up. And all of us, and I think if you tell the truth, let me rewind that.
who do you think?
Truth is instilled by God in all of us, and I think if you tell the truth, you're a good person.
So who do you think is the bad guy?
Okay, so he didn't automatically say, I am a good person. He kind of answered that like a politician. But he still, from what his response was, he does consider himself to be a good person because he believes he's telling the truth in basically everything. So I do believe he considers himself a good person based on that response.
You know, everyone uses they, them, they're after me. Who's they? Who's the bad guy?
Well, instead of saying who, I will say, what I will start by saying is what they do. And what they do is they control information. And we now live in an information society, and by controlling information, they control how people think and act and react to things. That's all they have to do.
I do think that's a reality. I do think people are actually controlling information. The powers that be in the media and everything controlling the media.
They have to control information, and they have to be very selective with what they allow.
So he is right about some things. You know, no false teacher, no person that is not a Christian, that's a false teacher, cult leader, false whatever, prophet. Usually these people have some truth. They talk about some truth, but it's not. There's definitely some lies and deception mixed in there. So yeah, there is a reality where the media is lying about things. That is a reality.
Allow you to talk about and what they allow you to discuss and what they don't. And once they can do that, they can keep you bickering about garbage, and they can control the sensitive information, and then they run the world. So having all the information controlled and having this hard barrier on what can be discussed, that's how they can purport absolute fallacies. I think now it's been a couple years, we can probably talk about it. They psyoped the world into believing they should be afraid of the common cold. They psyoped the...
Okay, I have to say I agree with him there. I have to say I agree with Andrew Tate there. That CV-19 thing, I believe, was a big scam. Big scam. I call it the scam gimmick.
World into this. And if you think about how difficult that would be to do, how difficult would it be to psyop the entire population of Earth? Well, what you do is you just lie on repeat, and you don't allow anyone to say anything counter to it without hurting them the same way I've been hurt. And you just psyop.
Like YouTube was actually censoring things. It probably still is if I actually say the full word, COVID, and then 19. There'll probably be some information in the description that's saying what they think the truth should be about it. As you see in a lot of videos, a lot of YouTubers, they had to get around saying that, or their video, something would happen to their video, probably take it down because of misinformation, or something in the description would try to correct the person talking about it.
It's actually amazing because now I use that exact same psyop on people. I love it. I love it. So when
He uses a psyop on people? Let's see what he's going to say.
I sit with someone who's not matrix-minded, when I sit with someone who is matrix-minded, like when the BBC walked in here, I'm like, do you all have your vaccinations? Social, social distancing.
Did you actually?
100%. Social distancing, please. And they look at me like I'm crazy.
I hated that. I hated that so much. I'm so glad we're not in that 2020, 2021 reality where that was crazy. It was all about social distancing, getting your jab, your shot.
Well, how am I crazy? 2 years ago, you were telling me to do this. Now when I repeat your own worldview to you, I'm crazy. Well, if I'm crazy, guess what? You're a fucking liar because you lied the whole time. So either you're a liar or I'm not. You know, how can I be nuts? Put your fucking mask on. If I ever talk to any of these clowns again, they're going to be fully masked up. And I refuse. I don't care if you've had 2 booster jabs. No, I want all 6. All 6 injections. I want paperwork. Or get fucked.
You're not coming in the house.
Good fuck. I'm scared of COVID. It's dead.
This dude is needs to wash his mouth. Not watch, but he needs to wash his mouth. So much cursing from this guy. But I agree with him on this point. I do agree with him on this point. Doesn't mean I agree with him, like his whole mission, but I agree on this specific point.
Dangerous. I believe the mainstream media. I'm scared.
This word you keep using, Psyop, I've never heard this word. It's short for psychological operations.
Correct.
Break that down. What exactly is a Psyop?
Yeah, a psyop is the Matrix as a whole. It's a psychological.
So the movie The Matrix, I actually love that movie. And so I understand what he's talking about when he says The Matrix. I think he believes that the world that we're living in now is really similar to the Matrix movie in the sense that it's heavily controlled. There's powers that be that limit your freedom. You can't go outside the box or else you'll be attacked by these. The enemies in the Matrix were called the agents. And so if you woke up to the truth and you start to go outside the box, you'll be attacked by these agents. And yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but if you've seen it, you have to see it to kind of understand that reference.
Psychological operations are constant. They constantly decide how they want you to think and what they can do to make you believe that, right? There's a whole bunch of them they do. But it starts with tolerance. That's what I don't like about this whole guise of tolerance. It's not that I'm an intolerant person. It's not that I'm a bad person. It's not that I want to hurt other people. But when they keep pushing tolerance, what they're trying to say is have no standards or barriers or parameters for anything. That's what they want. You have to be tolerant. Tolerant of what? Tolerant of having your shop set on fire, tolerant of your kids being taught things you don't want, tolerant of crime, tolerant of your house being broken.
Tolerant of the LGB.
Like, tolerant of what? You're not allowed any hard barrier or any hard parameters.
So he seems to be conservative. He seems to be conservative minded politically, which if y'all don't know, that's my political views is conservative. So we probably agree on a lot of things in that realm, the realm of politics. But in terms of his actual spiritual views, no, don't agree with him at all.
As a man anymore. That's why they push tolerance. That's the beginning of it. That's the first stage. Once you accept absolute tolerance, well, then it's the end, isn't it? I'm tolerant of everything. I'll eat the bugs. Sure.
You'll tolerate everything.
I'll tolerate everything. I'm tolerant. Sure. So when I say things like I'm intolerant of certain things and people think that's bad, no, you need to have standards and parameters. And that's one of the reasons they also attack me. I say that men should be allowed to have standards and parameters in a relationship and in their lives. We should be allowed to decide who we want to marry, and we should have standards for her. They have standards for us. We should allow ourselves to have standards for her. We should have standards in what we'll accept from a government and standards in what we'll accept from a police force.
Standards are good. Yeah, I agree.
We should have standards as men, but they're trying to erode all of that because once that's gone, then your brain is completely empty. And then once your brain's empty, they can just plug in the slave program and then it's over, right? You're a tolerant person. You're a tolerant person. Good. You're a good slave. Slaves are exceptionally tolerant.
So the shirt you wear is what? Escape the slave mind?
Resist the slave mind.
Resist the slave mind. What does that mean exactly?
It's a better word, resist.
Resist.
Right? But I want to do this before we get into, because we got 5 hours, guys. We got plenty of time to get into a lot of different topics. So one, I do want to talk about BBC, the handling of the interview. I want to get your thoughts on it. I know there's been reactions, but I want to go a little bit deeper into it because I want to compare how your start with the interview with BBC started versus Philip Schofield versus Musk. I got all the first questions. We'll cover that. I want to talk about media. I want to talk about your evolution of your faith, atheist, Christian, Muslim, and then some of the things that's going on.
Wow, that is a transformation, not in a good way, but wait. So he said atheist, Christian, Muslim. He was never Christian. If you go to Muslim after Christianity, you can't change if you truly become born again. You can't become a Christian and just say, "Oh, I'm done." You were never really truly born again and renewed and became a child of God in the first place. So it was a false conversion.
On with politics right now, maybe a little bit of Romania, Trump. We'll cover what you're talking about with different things. It's funny you're saying monopoly on power. If you abuse it, now YouTube's turning around and saying, hey, you can talk about the election. We're no longer going to give the strike. So that doesn't work forever. First thing I want to talk about, I think the audience would like to know, for you and Tristan, 92 days in the dungeon, you're in jail,
Yep.
your experience in there, we keep hearing about it, we read about it, but what was it like for you guys being in there?
So I'll start by saying, and I have to make this clear, that the staff in the jail were exceptionally nice to me. They were very apologetic. The vibe was apologetic. Nobody was really treating me like a criminal. There were a few guys who were icy cold, I guess you could call them. They like to think of themselves as professional, but they were just inhuman. But over time, they warmed up, and I was exceptionally nice also to all the staff. Jail was terrible. I'm going to start by saying jail was terrible, and I was miserable inside of the jail cell. It's a good thing depression isn't real, because I would have been depressed. But
You said depression isn't real? Interesting.
I think in life that you get what you give, and I wanted to feel happier, so I tried my very best to make people happy. So when the old lady would bring me my food, I would sit and say, oh, this is the best food I've ever had. I've never had food this good. Did you cook this? I thought yesterday was the best, but you managed to surpass it again. How'd you do it? What's the magic ingredient? And I ended up making friends with them. Like I had grandmas in there, the old ladies cooking the food. And by trying to make people happy and smile all the time, I started to feel a lot happier. But it's kind of scary. And I think the scariest thing about jail was the uncertainty of it all. If they would have said to me, you're in jail for 92 days, or even 5 years, you got 5 years, cool, I do my time. But when you're nabbed and thrown in a cell without charge, you're like, well, how long, is this my life? Is this it now? Is this the end of the story? I'm just in this cell. And I was picked up on 29th of December. I went through this quick court case. Like I said, I'm inside of the jurisdiction of Romania, so I have to be very careful with what I say because the case is ongoing and we're in Romania and I can't leave Romania. But obviously Romanian court is in Romanian by law. So you're marched into this room, everyone speaks a language you don't understand for 15 minutes, and then you're marched off to jail. You're like, what even happened? What even happened to me? And they said, oh, here's the paper that explains it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of trippy right there. Just all of a sudden, snatch you up and, yeah.
I was like, that's in Romanian. And they said, oh, don't worry, you'll get a translation to English by law. I was like, okay, that's fine. But because I was picked up on the 29th of December and there was New Year's Eve and holidays, it was 2 weeks before I even knew why I was in jail. 2 solid weeks I'm in jail. No one told me in English why I'm in jail. I had no idea what the charge.
Can they do that?
By law, you get it on the piece of paper in English, but it's translation, it's holiday, we need to find a translator, there's a delay.
And you speak zero Romanian.
Zero. So they said, oh yeah, human trafficking. I'm like, what do you mean human trafficking? Who? When? What? What is this? Took 2 weeks before I finally got a piece of paper, and then I realized what garbage it truly was. I mean, I knew it was garbage, but I was like, this is complete garbage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have endless stories from jail. It was certainly...
Yo, this interview is super long. I don't even know, like, I'm definitely not gonna review the full thing, but I'm just gonna review it probably till I get tired. So it's like 8:30 where I'm at now. We'll see how far we can get. Let me know if y'all have any questions, any input.
I don't think jail teaches you much new. What it does is confirm everything you already know. It confirms everything you know about the reality of the outside world, that you need to be physically strong so that you're not attacked by others, and mentally strong so you're not attacked by yourself. You learn who's on your side and who isn't. You learn who's a coward and who's not. You learn who's an opportunist and who isn't. Your circle, you certainly learn a lot about the people around you when you go to a jail cell, that's for sure. But I remember it was New Year's Eve. When I was first picked up on the 29th of December, I was very sure I'd be out in 24 hours. I was like, there's no way they're gonna keep me. For what? Like this doesn't make sense. So
be a digital detective. Enroll in the new Google Cybersecurity Certificate to jumpstart your career.
Digital detective.
Finally, New Year's Eve rolls around, and I'm sitting in the jail cell by myself. And in Romanian jail, you don't leave the room. It's not like an American jail where there's a yard or anything. You're stuck in the room. It's 3x4, and that's your existence. You just stay in the room.
Are you by yourself?
24
or are you with
hours a
Tristan?
day. At the beginning, I was by myself.
All right, let me try to skip around and see something interesting. I don't know where to skip around to, but if I don't find anything interesting, I'm gonna move on from this. Be cool if they had chapters. Let me know, like.
Tell us about Andrew Tate. Well, this is okay. What kind of a guy is he? He said, I actually really like him. I said, why do you think he's going through what he's going through right now? Oh, it's always because of money. Okay, so we're at a different restaurant. So tell us, why are you going through this? Why is he going? Everybody's saying a similar thing about this, right? But for those who don't know, there's 3 different camps.
Yeah.
The camp that already sees you guilty, it doesn't matter what they read. So for example, this story here, from BBC came out just last night, 10:30. Andrew Tate choked me until I passed that, UK woman claims, right? This is Alice, another anonymous name, just like Sophie, right? Yeah. But there's 3 camps. There's those that say, well, look, I'm already thinking he's guilty. I don't like him anyways. I need anything to get me to think he's guilty. Yeah. Whatever it takes. I don't have to do my own due diligence. I just have to hear anything. Then there's the camp that's a diehard fan. There's nothing you can do that they did wrong. In their eyes, it's going to be wrong. Then you have the people in the middle that are the reasonable ones, that are saying, you know what, let me look at this. Yeah. What about this? What about that?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if he's guilty of anything illegal. I know he's done things that God wouldn't approve of, but I do not know if he's done anything illegal.
The people in the middle may say the following question. They may say, and I may have asked this question from you last time as well. They may say, Andrew, okay, if this guy is so innocent, how can they get you to go to the dungeon for 92 days? How can they put you on house arrest? How can they do all this stuff? Yeah. If you're somebody that was born in US, you lived in UK, how come somebody else isn't coming to bail you out? You got different lawyers. How is it that they can keep doing this to you if you're not guilty? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, and once again, I have to be careful what I say because of the court case, but Romania has a law, or the law in Romania is basically, if you can prove to a judge that it might have happened, they're allowed to hold you up to 6 months during the investigation stage. If I was guilty of anything, I would have been charged long ago. And we're going to talk about charges.
That's crazy. 6 months and it might have happened?
Soon, because I still believe they're going to attempt to charge me. But we're now approaching the end of the 6 months they can keep me under a form of arrest for without charge. Typically in Romania, when I was first arrested, the guard said, within 2 weeks, you'll have your indictment. I was like, 2 weeks? He goes, yeah, everyone gets charged quickly. Nobody waits 6 months for a charge. If they arrest you, they charge you, like every other country, right? The fact they've waited 6 months and gone into my entire life and attempted to find something shows they don't have a case. Why I believe it happened is because they didn't have a case when they were trying to hit me with this garbage, and they thought, you know what? If we put him all over the news, if we slander his name completely, there was a hotline set up. If you're a girl who's been hurt by Andrew Tate, call this number in the UK. A hotline. So they were attempting to use the media to find what they wanted. Months go by, months go by, months go by, case file's empty, nothing's happening. My lawyer's saying, when are we going to close this case file? Like, yeah, we're just waiting for some papers, we're going to close it, we're going to close it, we're going to close it. Around the time I was canceled, things started appearing in the case file again. They started spying on me again. Very interesting that it happened around that time. I don't know if they understood that I wasn't protected by the political class of the USA. I don't know what happened. They started to build this case, and they spied on me for all of these months, spending millions of euros, spying on me everywhere I went, trying to find...
Yo, I'm just trying to figure out why this went so viral. Let's look at some of the comments. Let me know if you guys know about anything about Andrew Tate that I'm unaware of. What are the comments looking like? I love the comment section, y'all. What about you? If I can zoom in a little bit, see what some people are saying. So we got... I know one reason it went viral. What is going on? How did that happen? Hold up. Okay. Yeah, I know one reason this is viral is because he's super famous. He's already a famous person and he was in jail. I think this is his first major interview since jail. Okay. My goodness, this is crazy. This video is getting crazy results. 62,000 comments. My goodness. I wouldn't even know what to do with that much feedback on one of my videos. I think that would be cool. I love feedback anyways. Congrats to PBD, Clear and Precise Podcast. Important moments. That's what I needed to look at before watching this thing. Yeah, the timestamps. I mean, they didn't have chapters in the video, but I mean, apparently it was in the comments. They put timestamps. This introduction to the interview with Andrew Tate. We watched that. Personal experiences, media, denial of false accusations, medical experiences and personal routine in jail, power dynamics and control in society. That's interesting. Importance of free thinking and truth. Reflections on Christianity, Islam, and LGBTQ issues. That's interesting. Like, I wish I would have looked at this. Oh my goodness, there's some good stuff in here. I wish I would have looked at this before actually viewing the video. I might have to come back to this and stream another time. I'm starting to get a little bit tired, as is on the East Coast, and I go to sleep early. But let me see if I can probably look at one more of these things. Maybe start here, see how far we can get. Power dynamics. Let's check that out. This person, like, you know how much time it would take for this person to do this? Wow. Okay. Discussion of disinformation, manipulation, and control of language. That's cool too. Start there.
These are those rhombohedron crystals in your pineal gland. When those crystals become electrically active.
Tell us why.
Because I am. You don't believe me?
You're a woman?
Are you misgendering me?
I have to choose that you're choose
Okay, here we go to some good stuff, y'all. I might have to come back to this and do it again.
agree with you.
You don't believe me?
Tell us why. Women. Somebody says they're a woman. What is this guy doing still going?
Yeah.
You've already made the money. You've already had the success. Let's transition to a couple other stories here. Sure. So all of a sudden you put in your profile, obviously I joked about it, you're the most Googled woman on earth. You know, that was based on your Twitter profile. You know, Nina Turner comes out and says, if somebody says they're a woman, not a tough concept. Your response is, I'm a woman, right? You do that. And you've left it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Because I am.
He's trolling the people. He's trolling the people. That's funny.
You don't believe me?
You're a woman?
Are you misgendering me?
I have to choose that you choose to agree with you, right?
My pronouns are she, her.
I need to met some more people like that who are super on the left.
But the level of, it's all a joke, right? But there's actually a very sinister undertone to all of this garbage. And the sinister undertone is that your baseline instincts and your baseline senses are how you've always perceived the world, right? They have to attack them at some level. And they did. I mean, it's fantastic with COVID. COVID, I know we can talk about it now, it was amazing. I used to say to people all the time, who have you seen die?
Exactly. Who have you seen die? I've seen nobody. 0 people die. I've heard of people dying. I've never seen anybody die or anybody really sick. Never. And almost made me think, like, am I going crazy? Am I in a different reality? I'm not seeing people like get sick, like super sick and drop dead left to right, how they made it seem in the media. Who have you seen anybody? I mean, it's kind of a hard topic if you had, so I'm sorry if somebody actually passed away in your family from this. I'm not trying to make light of it, but I personally haven't seen anybody or know of anybody that's really close to me who has passed away from that.
Do you see a pandemic? Yeah, on the news. No. Do you see ambulances rushing back and forth everywhere? Do you see bodies on the street? Do you see lines outside of hospitals?
See, none of that. We saw the stuff on the news, like the hospitals are going crazy, but that could be Hollywood. It could be.
Do you see a pandemic? How a pandemic would look? Do you see a pandemic? Oh, but my friend's grandma, your friend's grandma was 96. Okay? So I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm saying she was 96.
Wow.
Do you see a pandemic?
Yeah, most of the people who did pass away from this, they already had comorbidities. They already had a sickness going on before this thing. So they were already weakened already before they caught this flu-like virus.
No, you don't. But they have just lied to you so many times that you're ignoring your own eyes. That's the final stage of the slave mind. It's the final stage of it. The final stage of the slave mind is when your eyes tell you this is green, but the news told you it was blue. So it has to be blue.
And one of the worst parts about this whole thing, y'all, is the effect that it had on churches. I was so mad when these churches closed down. And some of them had to legally, but when the governor of the state, they were saying, hey, you can open back up now. Some of these churches stayed closed, including my first church that I went to after becoming saved. They stayed closed, even after the governor of Georgia said you can open back up. And they stayed closed down for like a whole year. So after about, I think, maybe 10 months, I'm like, okay, you guys aren't believing in the God that you preach. That's how I felt at the time, that they lacked faith. This God's supposed to be a God that's a protector, protects you, to heal you, to take care of you. We're called to gather with believers. And a lot of these churches were bowing down and living in fear because of what the media was talking about. But we're not called to live in fear, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So I'm like, are we not actually believing and following the scriptures and the faith that we claim to believe in? So that was the first time that I decided, let me find a new church. And that's how I came to go to my second church. I'm at my third church now, by the way, but after a total of 6 years of being saved. But that was very sad for me as a Christian to see how there was such a lack of faith in the whole mainstream Christian community. There was such a lack of faith. Some people were bold. Some people were bold. I thank God for those pastors and those congregations who didn't give in to the fear.
So when they're doing these things, it's nothing to do with caring about the mental health, of gender ideology, none of this garbage. They're deliberately attacking you and saying, what your eyes tell you is wrong. Because if they can make you start to admit that your own eyes are wrong, then what other defense do you have against propaganda? If they're going to give you a lie, but your own eyes can't protect you, well then it's over, isn't it? So all of these things they're doing, all of these things are a deliberate assault on the senses. And they do it by controlling the language. If you control what someone says, over time, you'll control what they think. You don't think what you don't say. It's very hard to live a life.
I somewhat agree with that, and I think they are doing that now with the whole pronoun stuff. Oh, you got to use somebody's pronouns. You got to use the right pronouns. They're just trying to control our speech. You can't say that. It's hateful. You can't repeat that scripture. They'll even go as far as to say that. Don't even say that scripture because it's hateful to the LGBT community.
Life for 8 years, if you're lucky, and think things and never say them ever. If you think it, you're going to say it sometimes. You're going to give the idea, get some feedback on the idea, build on the idea, change the idea, whatever it is, through discussion. If you never, ever, ever discuss it, you're not going to think it. So they say, this is the truth, ignore your eyes, and you have to say it's the truth. You can't say it's not the truth. And the people who are in charge of the world, they think generationally. They have time. Right now, it's a joke. 200 years from now, it won't be a joke. 200 years from now, it'll all be fucking standard operating protocol. The grandchildren of the people who are in charge now, that's what they want. They'll pull it off in the end. Slow, incremental damage. They do it with nearly everything. They'll take all your rights away. They'll take 100 of your rights away. They'll upset you. They'll give you 99 back. We're good again. Don't worry. And the grandchildren of the people in charge of the world get what they want in the end. They think generationally. So now
he's serious, man. He's locked on. What's going on here? A commercial?
So here's a secret YouTube hack I learned. To skyrocket your YouTube growth, using YouTube Shorts first.
I don't like shorts anymore. All right, look at Patrick Beth David. He's the host of the interview. He's serious.
But in the end, they think generationally. So now we're at the beginning of it. It's all a big joke, right? But especially before Elon had Twitter, when you couldn't say the truth online, when you couldn't say my eyes see X on the internet without going to jail or losing your account, or getting a hate speech charge in the UK or some garbage. They're controlling what you think. And on a long enough time frame, what you think becomes true. We all believe 2 + 2 is 4. But with a hard enough psyop, if you can't say that, if you have to say it's 5, on a long enough time frame, math breaks down and everyone's just going to believe that 2 + 2 = 5.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening with this whole I can be a woman thing, and you're biologically a male. But they'll say, well, I can be a woman. That's basically saying 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. But they're changing the language. They're trying to control how you think. They're trying to take away facts and logic and science. This is science. They're trying to take all that stuff away, objective truth. And it's all subjective. When you can't operate like that, you can't live in a world, you can't live in a rational world with order if you don't have any objective truth.
You think we're going to get there?
Have you ever seen the experiment? There's a really interesting experiment with monkeys and a banana and a water spout. Have you ever seen this? They put 5 monkeys in a room, and at the top of the room there was a banana. And when one monkey tried to climb up to get the banana, they turn on the hose and splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. So the monkey would come back down and wouldn't get the banana. And when another monkey would go to climb up, they'd splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. And what would happen over time is, when a monkey went to climb the rope to get the banana, the other monkeys would jump and pull him down and hit him and teach him a lesson. Don't go for that banana. If you go for that banana, we get splashed with water. Then they'd swap one of the monkeys out. Now there's a new monkey in the room who doesn't know the game. The new monkey would attempt to climb, and all 4 monkeys would attack the monkey, pull him back down, and kick his ass. He knows if he climbs the rope to get the banana, he gets attacked. He doesn't know he gets splashed with water if he gets the banana. He doesn't know the game, but he knows if I try and climb, they're going to attack me. After a certain amount of weeks, they change another monkey, and another monkey, and another monkey. Over time, you have 5 brand new monkeys who have never been splashed with water ever. But nobody goes to climb the rope, because if they do, they're attacked by all the other monkeys. And nobody even knows why.
Damn.
That's just how it works. If you climb that rope, we beat you up. That's just how it works. That's what they're doing on a long enough time scale to humanity. There are already X amount of people on the planet. There's already a population.
I'm going to say this dude he's a really good speaker. Fascinating. The way he talks is fascinating. So I am kind of starting to understand why so many people are attracted to this guy. Although we should still not be idolizing anybody. Doesn't matter how good they speak, as there's Bible scriptures talking about. It doesn't matter how good somebody speaks. This is in the New Testament when they were arguing about who's a better preacher, and I'm going to follow this preacher. This other guy doesn't speak as well. But this dude, how he talks, it is fascinating. So I am recognizing that.
X%, who knows what it is, who ignore their own eyes and repeat what they are told. You can't say that that's not what they're doing, because they're already successful with X amount of the population. They've begun. The seed is there. 2%, 3%, 7%, who knows? They've already proven they can do it. Now it's just a matter of not shutting up and hammering at home. Make sure they repeat it in schools. Children are young. They believe things. They're impressionable. Hammer it to the kids, especially. Put it in every Disney movie. Give it to the kids all day long. They grow up sooner or later. Long enough time frame, that's it. It's generational attacks.
But do you think that's going to work, though? Because let me maybe unpack the question. So I'm from Glendale. I went to Glendale High School, and Staloy, right? So yesterday, a big fight broke out in Glendale. Massive, it's all over the news.
Yep.
So the fight was over these parents, Armenian parents, who were for 4 years are like, listen, we don't mind if you're gay, but don't teach our 4-year-olds about transgender. Don't put these
Please don't. Please don't. I hate when they do that.
books in. Finally yesterday, big old brawl. It's all over the news. They're fighting. Armenian parents are like, we're not going to tolerate this. This is just not going to happen to us, right? Then you go to YouTube. YouTube comes back and says, hey, starting such and such, all the videos that were put up about the election and, whether it was a fake election or not, we're no longer going to give a strike or take those videos down. They can stay up there, right? This is totally fine. Then you see the Surgeon General comes out, the attorney, I don't know if you saw this one here, he comes out with an article saying new Surgeon General advisory raises alarm about the devastating impact of the epidemic of loneliness and isolation in the United States. This is the same guy that was part of the camp, is now saying, hey, our epidemic of loneliness and isolation has been an underappreciated public health crisis that has harmed individuals and social health, our relationship, our source of healing, et cetera, et cetera. This is the same guy that said, wait a minute, lockdown, do this, do that. So the more and more arguments are coming out against even ESG. I don't know how close you follow ESG, where, why are we doing this? Did you see how much Target lost? $10 billion? Did you see how much Bud Light lost? 25%.
I don't get why they're doing this, these big companies. Why are they doing this if they're losing so much money? I know Ruslan did a video saying that these companies, they have to reach a certain score, like an inclusivity score with these specific investors, and that's why they're doing it, because if they don't reach an inclusivity score, I forgot what it's called, they're not going to get funded by these investors. But if you're losing $10 billion like Target, is it worth it? Is it worth it to have a high score if you're going to lose all this money? I don't know.
12%. This is no longer working. Well, if you want to, like even one of the insurance companies I work with closely, it's one of our biggest one we work with. Yesterday, I see their post on Instagram. Well, because of Pride Month, we're doing this. I know the people in that company, but they just raised a few $100 million. One of the companies they gave the money to was one of these bigger guys, the Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street.
All right, guys. So I might have to do some more of this video another time. I might have to because this is super long. It's pretty interesting stuff, honestly. All these timestamps down here. There's a lot of, there's a big topic. Let's see, talking about Christianity, reflections on Christianity, Islam, and LGBT issues. And I might have to review that at a different time. Let me just get a little taste about what that's about. Let me just get a little taste real quick.
Christian.
What makes arcade tight is they have all these sounds for space. It's just a bunch of
You know
cool
how many
sounds
commercials?
that you can play in between tight chord.
This video probably has a 4-hour video. It probably has like 40 commercials in it.
In any regard. I just found myself as I became more and more religious, seeking and looking for
Hold up.
a faith war in Muslim. See how the Quran.
I don't want to go there. Right? It's going to be Muslim. Totally get it. They're on the far right. Christian today is kind of going center left today. Like they're kind of being soft right now.
Looks like the timestamp was a little bit off.
Kids, I'm a new star.
Uh-oh.
Was born.
Sorry about that. I accidentally got myself off the timestamp. What is happening? Yo, my YouTube has been lagging. Every time I get on YouTube, it lags. And I'm not sure why. Like, my internet speed's good, but YouTube has been lagging like crazy. I guess it starts here, because he was talking about religion before that timestamp. So...
None of them donate to any charities that involve women, nothing. They're just taking the virtue and weaponizing it and attacking me with it. Me as a person who donates $25 million a year to charity to feed both male and female children. Me as a person who believes I have a responsibility to be physically capable so that any woman I'm walking down the street with is safe. I do more for women than any of these clowns.
Okay, this is where he gets too overboard and prideful and arrogant when he talks like this.
Would ever do. But they're just weaponizing virtue and attacking me with it. It's not even genuine virtue. That's what's so upsetting about it. These people, the matrix-minded people, have so few parameters and so few virtue. Whenever there's virtue inside of them, it's only so they can take it, weaponize it, and fire it at you. They don't give a shit about any of the issues they talk about. They don't care about race. They don't care about women. They don't care about gays. None of it. They take it, they put it in a bullet, and they shoot it at the people they don't like. It's all fake. All of it.
When you were talking about this, I wrote all these things down that we're talking about. Principled virtues, God, parents, true believers, fighters, traditions. These people they fear, right? All these people they fear. And these guys are slowly but surely starting to stand up. The scene we're talking about with Shia LaBeouf, he says, what we're doing here is a righteous act. Here's a Bible verse I think about sometimes, many times. This is his words. It goes, and I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And he began crying and said, here I am, send me. Brad Pitt turns around and says, Book of Isaiah chapter 6. For me, in business, I asked this question the other day. I'm so curious to get your thoughts on this. For the longest time, when I got into business, I was, a younger guy, 21. I'm like, okay, very coachable. Tell me, what do I got to do? I'm a coachable guy. What do I got to do? I'm a coachable guy, super coachable. I want to make money. I'm sick of time of being broke. My dad's at the 99 cents. Too many heart attacks. I want to get out of this. Yep. So I'm like, hey, Patrick, basic stuff. When you're doing business and you're talking to rich people, I'm Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. Never talk religion, never talk politics, never talk sex. Just don't talk about those three things. I said, okay, guess what? Never talk politics, never talk religion, never talk sex. No problem. We're going to business. So what do you think about the political climate today, Patrick, David? Yeah. Oh, what do you think? Yeah. Well, I think this is, but what do you think, Patrick? I don't know, quite frankly, I think I'm trying to figure it out for myself right now, but we'll see what's going to happen, whatever way you're deflecting and you kind of go on your phone. Hey, what do you think about God? What is your opinion on Islam or Muslim? Yeah. Well, for me, you deflect that. Eventually you're sitting there, you're like, the people that I know at that level, want to talk about those three topics.
Yep.
Now, sex is maybe off camera and they're kind of having fun with it, but they want to talk about politics and religion.
Yep.
So we, for the
Hard to get away from it.
longest time, have been silenced, and now the ESG community, all this time they've told us to stay quiet, and they're saying
ESG, what's that?
what? They're talking politics,
Yep.
they're talking religion, and they're talking sex. Sex the way through LGBTQ. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. No, it's not normal. Well, listen, you guys shouldn't talk about politics and sex and religion. Shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And then you see this one, during COVID, one pastor, Australia, a Syrian man. I don't know what his name is, Vinny. What's his name? The Syrian pastor, priest from Australia. And he was fighting all the anti-COVID guidelines, and his stuff is going viral. He's doing this. And you've seen these messages. Some of the people that stood up, they stood up because they feared God, okay? And for you, with your life, it's been interesting watching you go through your evolution of your faith. Pre-2022, former atheist, couple of the things you've said in the past, God isn't real because you can't prove it. Okay, kind of like that was more the Malcolm X argument, right? Bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people far too often for God to exist. I'm the center of my universe. That's pre-2020. Then gradually you start talking about Christianity, and in 2020 you made a video announcing that you were wrong about what you had said previously about God, right? Now you start saying people who are atheists are angry, bad energy people, and I don't want to be on that team anymore. And even if God is not real, the world is a better place if people do believe in God. I know God is real because there's so much evil in the world that there has to be an equal and opposite force. The devil can't exist if God does not. And if you look at the world today, it is very obvious that the devil does not exist. And I'll go to
very true stuff.
The last one here with Muslim. Quotes from you.
And then he went to Muslim. Crazy.
Christians don't have a religion anymore because they tolerate everything and stand for nothing. And by the way, I actually agree with you, the fact that they're tolerating way too much.
Yeah, I do. I actually do agree with that. I do agree that a lot of Christians tolerate way too much. Lukewarm Christians, though, lukewarm Christians who are not acting in that backbone that God gave them, or may not be true born again Christians.
Islam is the last religion on the planet. God is something to be feared, respected, and to prove yourself to, which means you got to earn his right. It's you
got to earn it. Wait. You got to work for it. Works righteousness. It's horrible. Works righteousness. You got to earn your way to heaven. So you really truly never know if you've done enough.
Your right, your respect, right?
Which is why Christianity is so different from every religion. You don't have to earn your way to salvation. That's the main thing that separates Christianity from all the other religions. Free gift of salvation.
How did you go, if you don't mind talking about your own evolution? Because us as men, if you knew me at 25 years old, you probably would have liked to party with me. I was a selfish guy. I was a guy you would have thought I was, right? And we go through this phase of where the selfishness kind of comes down a little bit. You still need to be selfish because you need to be driven, but to the point where you're like, listen, man, I got to really do something. And then somehow, some way, God enters. What's been your evolution of your faith, and where are you at today?
Yeah, I think Newton's, it's third law, equal and opposite force, what you just said there is absolutely true. There has to be an equal and opposite force to all the evil in the world. And the equal and opposite force to all that evil has to be God. And I've talked about this at length even with atheists, and I try and say that regardless of whether you're an atheist or not, you're thinking of God as a man in the sky, but you need to think of God as a concept as a whole. And once you do that, it's impossible to accept that he doesn't exist. Right?
It's crazy. Like these atheists, they really picture God as like this man just sitting around the clouds. Like Christians don't even believe that. That's not even our viewpoint on it. It's like they have this cartoon view of God.
I said to the atheists, I said, let's say there was 2 islands. You're shipwrecked, right? And there's 2 islands. Both of them are full of savages. On one island, you and your friend are shipwrecked. On one island, your friend goes and he crashes and they kill him and they eat him. And you go to another island and they want to kill you and eat you, but they don't because it's against their religion. Mm-hmm. Did God save your life? Who cares? Who doesn't even know the name of their God? But their God said, don't kill shipwrecked survivors. And now you're alive. So their God saved your life. The concept of God in and of itself saved your life. You owe God just for the concept of it, the idea of it. So even the idea of opposing evil as a whole is a belief in God. So you're either an evil person or you believe in God in some regard. And then once I understood that there had to be an equal and opposite force, I was raised Christian. I live in a Christian nation. Romania is actually, I think, the second or third most Christian country on earth. It's a very Christian country here. There's churches everywhere. They strongly believe. And that's where I began my journey, but I always had a very healthy respect for Islam because I understand that to a degree, to have a religion at all, you have to have an intolerance, to a degree. Because without an intolerance, you don't have rules. You don't have laws. You don't have any, like you said, you have to earn God's respect. If you're a religion which is tolerant of everything, then you don't have to earn God's respect. You can be a bad person and do bad things. God loves me, so it's fine. Well, no, it's not, because that's not the point of the religion. So then you extrapolate that out, and
But you can have an intolerant God when it comes to sin that you don't have to earn the respect and the love of God from. So we don't have to earn the love of God and the respect of God, because when he sees us, he sees his son, those who are truly born again and who have given their lives to Jesus. But he's still, at the same time, he's still intolerant when it comes to certain things. He doesn't tolerate sin, but we still don't have to earn it. See, he's not seeing the bigger picture. Andrew Tate is not seeing the full picture. He's kind of just lumping both aspects on one side and not seeing that God can be both intolerant against sin, but also a loving God to where he doesn't make us earn our salvation and his love.
Sitting and thinking, what's the primary function of a religion? And the primary function of a religion, I don't believe it's the religion exists so I can live forever. I mean, that's a nice thought. But I think on a macro level, the primary objective of a religion is to restore and contain some degree of traditional value within the society. How do you judge? Let me change the way I worded that. How do you judge the success of a religion? I don't think you can judge it by the number of people who join it, because there's lots of people who are Catholic.
How do you judge the success of a religion? It's a good question. I would say you judge the success of it by, is it based in truth? Because there's no medal. There's no medal. If I could talk, there's no medal you can win. Like a religion can't win a medal in a competition. But the success of a religion is dependent upon, is it based on truth? Is it true or is it not? That's how you base the success on it. And it seems like Andrew Tate is not seeing that. Like he's trying to see religion as some competitive thing. Oh, this religion looks better than another religion, so therefore it's better and it's more successful. It doesn't matter how it looks. It matters, is it based in the truth?
Who don't act Catholic. They don't act in any way particularly Christian. Anyone can say they're something. You can walk into a strip club and everyone says they're Christian. It doesn't mean anything, right? So how do you judge the success of a religion? Well, I like to think the best way to judge the success of a religion is how successful is it at fighting evil?
How successful is it at fighting evil? And I think he's going to go based on how it looks. How does Christianity look at fighting evil versus how does Islam look at fighting evil? But again, the truth is the best way to fight evil. Having those who are destined to hell, who are living in sin, becoming born again, becoming saved and achieving salvation by the grace of God. That is really the best way to fight evil. It just doesn't look like the image of fighting evil, because the word says to turn the other cheek, to not be violent, to not attack people. So when you look at how Jesus acted in the New Testament, in the Gospels, he didn't really look like he was fighting evil, did he? He didn't really look like he was fighting evil. It didn't look like he was fighting evil based on what he was doing, his physical actions. And he wasn't attacking the Romans. He wasn't killing Romans. That's what the Pharisees wanted. That's what they wanted to see. They wanted to see a warrior who was taking out the Romans and liberating Israel from the governing powers. So it didn't look like it was being successful at attacking evil, but it was a spiritual thing. It was an internal thing, receiving the Spirit of God, which is actually the best way to attack evil. You become a new creature, a new creation in Christ, become filled with the Holy Spirit, the living God inside of you. That is destroying evil. 100%. Yo, thank you, Lord.
How successful is it at preserving the morality of a population in X parameter, in X geographical area? So when you look at it from that,
But that's really not up to Christianity per se, preserving morality, as it's the human beings who have a choice. So even Revelation talks about how the world's going to become more wicked, just like in the days of Noah, when the world was super wicked. It's going to become more so like this the further we get in the end times. So morality is going to get worse, but it's not God's fault. It's not Christianity's fault. It's the evil, wicked hearts of the people, the prideful hearts of the people, right?
that way, you can't say that Islam isn't the most successful religion on earth. It's the most successful in regards to opposing evil. It's the most successful in regards to opposing its differing viewpoints. It's the most successful in regards to having people act within the limits and the confines of what it finds to be moral and
It looks the most successful, perhaps.
good to God. It's the most adhered to. It's the most feared. It's the most respected in most forms. And then also I'd like to think,
Yeah, a lot of people don't respect Christianity. They'll blaspheme God. They'll say the Lord's name in vain. I wonder why. They'll say Jesus Christ is a curse word. They won't say, oh, Muhammad. Oh, Muhammad. And then they won't say that. I wonder why.
I would say it's the most feared.
yeah, it's the most feared. But what is respect without fear? Do we respect men we don't fear? If there's a man who could do absolutely nothing to you on any level at all, you might be nice to him, sure, because we're not bad people. But would you really respect him? If you could take his chick in front of his face, set his car on fire, and he wouldn't do a thing, you wouldn't respect him. You might be nice to him because we're not bullies, but you wouldn't respect him. Respect and fear are linked.
I respect people who I don't fear.
They're not always the same thing, and you can maybe have fear without respect, but it's very hard to have respect without fear. And also, I heard someone say once that we see the world as we see ourselves. If you're a thief, you think everyone's a thief. If you're a liar, you think everyone's a liar. And I kind of agree with that. I understood that. I also like to think we see religion as we see ourselves. I like to see myself as a person whose respect you have to earn. I like to see myself as a person who has strong, rigid boundaries. I like to see myself as a person who will stand up and say, no, that's wrong. I like to see myself as a person who's not afraid of being shamed by whatever community for saying, I don't agree with that particular ideal. I like seeing myself that way. So if I'm going to see myself that way, then I'm going to naturally align with a religion that operates within that form. So when I say Islam is the last religion on earth, I say it because it seems to be the only one who will stand up and say, no, we don't care. No, that's not what the book says. No. I was raised Christian, and Muslims as a whole, we have no problems with Christians. None at all. I don't want anyone to think.
I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. Muslims do have problems with Christians.
I'm anti-Christian.
I've seen so many debates against street preachers, like David Lynn's one. He would get in so many different debates against Muslims, and they were very antagonistic and sometimes even violent towards the men of God who are preaching the Bible. So yeah, that's a lie.
Like I dislike Christians. We don't have a problem with Christians. We believe in a lot of the same things. We believe in Jesus. We put more respect on the name of Jesus than most Christians do.
Wow. No, you don't. You don't. They don't even see him as the Son of God. They see him as just another man, essentially. So no, they don't respect him because they don't respect who he said he was.
Don't like the idea of people saying they're a Christian and saying, but because I'm a Christian, I can do whatever I want and throw all the rules away and none of it matters. Because once you have that level of tolerance.
See, the problem with Andrew Tate and Christianity, he sees the lukewarm Christians. He bases his whole view on Christianity based on the Christians who aren't really living up to high standards, up to biblical standards, which I can kind of see. It doesn't mean it's a justifiable reason, but there are those Christians out there who claim to be Christian, but are not living a lifestyle reflective of that. And that's an issue. And that's why my channel is called Christian For Real, because part of why I believe God told me to start a channel is to give an example and to speak on topics about what it means to be a Christian for real, what it means to be a Christian that's actually on fire for God, who's actually filled with the Holy Spirit, a genuine born-again Christian who is on fire, not lukewarm. Not lukewarm. It doesn't mean I don't fall short. I do fall short, but it's important to be and to promote a genuine Christian lifestyle. that actually lives up to God's standards and aspires to be holy as God is holy, as that's what he calls us to be like him, to be like Jesus Christ. But with that, y'all, I think I've been on here a good minute. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, let me know. You have any questions for me? Questions, if I could talk. Questions. Let me know if you have any questions for me before I sign out. Any stream requests in the future, any video requests, let me know. Should I review more of this later? Or is this good enough? What do you think? Well, if our hearts and minds are cleared, God bless you. I pray you have a good night. And until next time, have a good Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. God bless you. Thank you. Oh, give the stream a thumbs up. Give the stream a thumbs up as well. I appreciate it.